It's too hot for a bit.
I know. I got nothing. I got this fan. Thanks, Aaron. I mean, Jenny.
I knew that thwarping.
Thwarp with an R.
Why do
Thwarp.
I add R's and remove R's?
Thwop.
Yeah.
It's like you know what? It was weird when you would say thwop before, but in a post-wop timeline, it's even weirder.
Well, that's because
that would make this the sound of opening a moist vagina.
Yeah.
Welcome to Podlander Drunkcast. Welcome to Austen, a Podlander Drunkcast podcast. I'm Allison.
I'm Julie.
That's Janine.
Oh God, hi.
This is BP.
Yes, B&P.
B&P, episode 2. Mm-hmm. We are talking about Bride and Prejudice, the Gurinder Chadha directed adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, a book by Jane Austen. I don't know if you're aware of her. She's sort of a big deal. Last week we talked mostly about Mr. Collins.
We did
Mr.
talk Colley. We talked a lot about Mr. Colley, but we also did devote a fair share to Mary.
Yes, and Aishwarya Rai, who's amazing.
Like, distractingly beautiful.
Fell down her Wikipedia this week.
Yeah.
Former Miss Universe.
Not
Miss Universe 1994.
Not surprised.
Also, I read Roger Ebert's review of this movie, which is unsurprisingly a delight. But there's a whole paragraph where he's like, have I mentioned how beautiful her smile is? Her smile is so beautiful. You think I'm exaggerating. I'm not. Hold on.
All right, hold for Roger Ebert.
As we always
we should.
do.
Yes.
We should.
Just because
Excellence in criticism.
a treasure.
And journalism.
I will put this in the episode notes for this episode. I'll link to it. But it is worth reading, as many of his reviews are. It's just really wonderful. But there are two things that I wanted to point out. First, Lalita is played by Aishwarya Rai, Miss World of 1994, recently described by at least one film critic, me, as not only the first, but also the second most beautiful woman in the world. According to the Internet Movie Database, the Queen of Bollywood is so popular she was actually able to get away with appearing in ads for both Coke and Pepsi. I also learned that she carried the Olympic torch in 2004, has a puppy named Sunshine, and was listed by Time as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. If this review is not accompanied by a photograph of her, you have grounds for a lawsuit.
He's funny.
Yeah. Then also, hold on. The other highlight is... Darcy makes tactless remarks, disagrees with the custom of arranged marriages, seems stuck up, is distracted by business, and creates the possibility that Lalita may have to follow her mother's instructions and marry the creepy Hollywood mogul, which he's not, he's an accountant, Mr. Colley. Yeah. Things could be worse. Harvey Weinstein is also visiting India.
Whoa.
So, shots fired.
Shots fired long ago.
Oh, wow.
Roger Ebert knew what was up. That was in 2005. So
Wow. It's like when you go back and you watch an old episode of 30 Rock and there's a Bill Cosby joke in there about how he's an asshole from 2004 or 5.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Tina Fey knows.
Yeah.
Tina Fey knows. Hannibal Buress knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for us for this week.
That's it.
That's it. We just wanted to let you know we did our research.
Yeah. And by we mean Allison.
Yeah.
We will end up talking more about some of the things I learned, I'm sure, in the third episode, which, congratulations, folks, it's a two-show day. We're doing no episodes today. And
back in the day, they were called two-a-days when I was in marching band, when you had two marching band rehearsals in a day. Two-a-days.
This is a two-a-day.
Oh, I mean, they call it a two-a-day in a lot of realms, but it's a two-a-day.
Yeah, we're doing a two-a-day.
It's a two-a-day, and our second episode is with Manish Mathur, who is the host of a really great podcast called It Pod to Be You. Right before Julie started recording, I said that's a really good podcast name. You know, it's not Podlander Drunkcast and a podcast. And his episode on Bride and Prejudice is really wonderful, and I learned a lot from it. So I'm sure we'll talk more about it. Some of the wiki wormhole things I learned then. But for now, let's talk about the music. We've been away from the movie for a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I want to know, first and foremost, of the many songs, and I think I know what the answer is going to be, if there was one that stayed in your head.
No wife, no life.
No life, without wife.
That's really that's the one that stuck with me. I don't remember the song as much, but I remember the choreography and the dancing surrounding the one with the sisters talking about marrying Mr. Colley when they were all in their jammies and like
That's
making
No
fun of
Life Without Wife.
Oh my God,
Same number.
It's the same song. There were 60 songs in this movie, and that's really the only one I remember.
I remember specifically. I don't remember the melody for it, but I remember the dancing in the very first one when they're at the wedding.
Yeah. That's because Saeed came on and just made everybody look like garbage.
What did Saeed come on and do?
Made me... I want you all to know that was a WAP joke.
Ooh, this is a new bit!
We've
got a new recurring bit.
New bit, same as the old bit.
Yes.
But apparently that's our summer bit when things are too hot. This is our summer bit.
Spaghetti in a pot, man. Yeah. Macaroni in a pot.
Macaroni.
Sorry, it's macaroni in a pot. How dare I?
So yeah, I remember the dancing in that first one specifically because of, and I forgot the actor's name now.
Which actor?
The actor who played Saeed in Lost.
Oh, Naveen Andrews.
Thank you, Naveen Andrews.
How dare.
I know, it's wrong, but thank you for reminding me because of Naveen Andrews' contribution.
Shannon's dead. Shannon's dead. How dare you? He's struggling with spoilers for Lost.
No, no more Lost. But yeah, I remember that. I remember No Life Without Wife, and that's unfortunately most of what I remember.
I've got the dancing in the opening number, like I said, but also a marriage has come to town.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Celebrate.
Those are the only 3 songs I can remember. Everything after No Life, No Wife, there's no song in my brain.
Oh, there's one called "Take Me to Love," which is the like montagey ballad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big finale number, but I think that might mostly be a reprise.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of songs in this movie.
Yes.
I remember the montage when Darcy and Lolita were, right? Lolita?
Yeah.
Were mad at each other. They just met each other. That was that montage. Because that was very awkward. Because like suddenly they were on the same beach where no one else was at, but they were walking away from each other.
Yes.
It was very.
I remember that too.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like, how'd you end up there? That feels like a bad recipe.
Yeah. Why? Who took you to the beach, and were you together when you went there?
Yeah.
I have questions.
Dramatic things happen at beaches, man.
Yes, they do, including people walking into the ocean.
Walking into the ocean.
Walking out of the ocean. Like,
Oh, that's right! Oh, thank you for that
And then it's Mr. Wickham.
reminder. And then it's the Fuckboy Supreme. Yeah, he's
Fuckboy Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
Are all Mr. Wickham's Fuckboy Supremes, or is that Mr. Wickham specifically
Well,
a Fuckboy
that
Supreme?
entrance is a Fuckboy Supreme entrance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well, again, like, does that make Ariel a fuck mermaid?
Well, aren't all mermaids fuck mermaids? Isn't that the whole thing?
yeah, they're sirens.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, come here for the hot takes about mermaids. I think they were created by men who wanted to fuck fish.
You know what? You'll have your looks.
Sailors, huh?
Yeah, sailors. They're fucked up. They are on that boat for a really long time, and they see a lot of dolphins and whales, and they're like, I could put my dick in that, but what if it had boobs? That's how mermaids were created.
You know what, Julie? Don't underestimate the importance of body language.
Oh, God, Ursula.
Hot takes about welcome back to Hot Takes About Mermaids. That would be a better podcast title than Pop Lady Drunk Has Another Podcast. A title we picked when it was not quite so inappropriate because now we're mostly sober when we record these.
Don't worry, I'm still drunk, you guys.
Yeah. Well, Julie's hungover today.
Yeah. And 2 weeks in a row. I'm sorry, people. My anniversary dinner was last night, so you'll forget.
Hey,
You know
happy
what?
anniversary, though.
Thank you.
Vaccination summer.
Yes. There were so many people out and about. It was nice.
I went to my first restaurant yesterday.
Ooh,
It's
how'd it go?
side-by-side. It was
How'd
an
it go?
Outback.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. Did you go
Your
to an
first
Outback
restaurant back
Steakhouse?
was Outback Steakhouse?
I love this reaction.
Lord, you live in Chicago.
My buddy had a $50 gift card.
Okay.
And he was driving, and
No
I was
shame.
like, I want to go there and get a bloomin' onion. I was like, you're paying? Fuck
Let's
yeah.
go. You know what? You're right.
I got
I'm
a
sorry
bloomin'
I
onion.
shaded you.
No, I think that shade was totally appropriate. Without the context of the gift card, perfect.
Yeah, I'd be like, that was the choice you made? All right, cool.
He wined and dined me. He took me to the Leaning Tower of fucking Schaumburg.
Oh yeah,
didn't
the
know
weird
that.
like Pisa-looking tower thing. Yes, in that parking lot, like it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the Leaning Tower of YMCA, by the way, because they built a YMCA next to it.
It really just looks like a small-scale version of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but made out of concrete. And it's in Schaumburg.
I just want to use my fan, but now it means something else. And I want to be clear, I am not wet for the Leaning Tower of Schaumburg.
I don't know. Have you seen it? It's pretty girthy.
It is...
Just slide down it at an angle, which,
Yeah.
you can be good.
You can do that.
It's such a confusing
An
moment.
entirely natural curvature.
Yeah. Wait a minute, Bride and Prejudice.
Pride
Pride
and
and
Prejudice.
So, once again, forgive me because I really have forgotten a lot of it because I've seen so many adaptations.
Oh, yeah. They
now.
blur.
They blur together. As far as the song goes, I think we've hit all the ones that all impacted us.
Right. So those are the ones we remember. But
Yeah.
So obviously the presence of the music is partially because the whole deal with this movie is Bollywood meets Hollywood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, I've come around to your line of thinking. You're right that Mr. Darcy is very boring. However, I maintain that it is probably one of those situations where he's boring because he's focusing too hard on his accent. Because
Maybe.
there are lots of very good actors who, when they try to do an American accent, they suddenly become extremely boring. Or they couldn't possibly be boring if they tried, but their American accent is so bad that it's extremely funny.
Is he British
David
or Australian?
Tennant. He is Australian.
Okay. Why didn't they just make him Australian?
I don't know. Well,
Yeah,
I
why
guess
did
because they
America-
wanted,
Well, colonialism.
all the
Yeah.
really great colonialist
Yes, you're right.
shit.
You're right. Which was important. to the film.
Neo-colonialism, blah, blah, like fucking weird imperialist tourism.
Yes. And you're right. That was very necessary to this adaptation. So fine, but he was
But
boring.
he was boring, and I wonder sometimes if maybe he would have been less boring if he was just using that voice, the normal voice.
That's fair. I mean, we weren't very, very big fans of Brie until we saw her in her natural habitat, right?
It took her a while.
Took her a
I
while.
think she was nervous about her accent.
Yeah.
Sophie.
Sophie.
Oh, I
Jesus.
thought you were talking. First of all, I was like, the
Sorry.
cheese,
Brie.
Hilarious.
Yeah, Brie.
I mean,
I'm
that's
more
where
of a-
my brain goes first, too.
I'm-
Brianna.
Brianna. Oh, well,
Brianna.
it's been a while since we actually talked about Outlander, so
I'm sorry, it's been what?
I don't like it. Microphone.
I know. He doesn't want to say it's been a while because he hates that.
I'm not.
You're the one who said it.
I don't. But it's a phrase people say.
Yeah, it's been a while. He's moved on from that game.
It's been a while.
You guys can do it. I just don't like doing it.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I guess I'm still reeling. Two things that we should note. One is I am still reeling from being able to talk to the two of you in person.
Yes.
Second, we're working without headphones this week, so it feels a little bit like
It feels
we're
a little,
just having a conversation.
a little
Yes.
unhinged.
It's
yeah.
a little looser. It's a little loosey-goosey today.
Yeah.
It's
Thwop.
Thwarp.
Damn it. Thwarp.
Thwarp. Okay.
Thwarp.
Come back.
Thwarp.
So we were talking about Darcy. He sucks.
yes,
Yeah.
but Bride and Prejudice.
Yes.
I just was saying that you were correct about.
Okay.
So, because the presence of the music is partially because it's Bollywood meets Hollywood is the whole it's on the poster. Bollywood meets Hollywood. And I'm assuming for a lot of people, including both of you, or you, Julie, you specifically, your first like Bollywood experience?
From beginning to end, yes. I've seen snippets from other Bollywood films, but I've never watched an entire film. So
Same.
this was my first.
Same.
Same?
Yeah, I've seen snippets, but not like full.
So, the song and dance numbers, the vibrant color. In fact, if I might quote Roger Ebert.
Please do.
Let's see.
He makes us look better.
He's just so
He's
good.
the best.
Well, the master's done the work.
Yeah.
You
You
know.
just refer to it and learn.
Yeah.
So this, here we go. It was gonna be like we're gonna have to do our off-brand yakety sax. Well, I find it, but I found it. Her characters burst into song and dance at the slightest provocation, backed up by a dance core that materializes with the second verse and disappears at the end of the scene. That's Bollywood. So is the emphasis on mother and father. The lovers in most American romantic comedies seem to be orphans. And she employs the Bollywood strategy for using color, which comes down to, if it's a color, use it.
Yes.
Which if you're not wearing nails, you're not doing drag.
Yes.
That's sort of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, did it feel like a Western musical to you, or did it feel kind of like its own thing? Like, did those songs feel like they served a similar function?
Yes, the songs were there to both support and move the story forward or teach us something about the characters, which I think is pretty analogous to quote-unquote Western musical. I liked it because it felt more... Typically, it just felt more joyous because the dance numbers were so big and so many people, so it felt a lot more fun, for lack of a better term. And as far as the color goes, the more the merrier. It's fun to look at. That's what I really enjoyed about this movie. Not only was it a good movie and the use of the colonialism inserted into the plot of Pride and Prejudice was really cool and smart, but it was just fun, and it's dancing and fun and color and bright and yay, and so I enjoyed it very much.
One more time.
Dancing and color and fun and yay!
There we go.
And then
That's whenever Naveen Andrews comes on screen.
yes, more Naveen Andrews, please. But yeah, so I liked it.
Shannon's dead. I don't know why I keep feeling like I need to say Shannon's dead. There are so many better Saeed things from Lost.
Even though he didn't do Not Penny's boat, because he was there, he's part of Not Penny boat moment, and that's the Lost moment for life.
Not Penny's boat.
Yeah.
Sure, but it's not the Saeed moment.
No, I know, but
The
he's
Saeed
there.
moment. You know what? There isn't a moment when someone goes, Shannon's dead, but it's for some reason it's in my head. Also, Boone.
Oh God, I forgot about Boone.
Boone.
Who gives a shit about Boone? Fuck Lost. I'm sorry. you
The
guys.
fans of the Vampire Diaries. That's who.
I hate Lost.
So I thought the Bollywood aspect
Please.
of
Thank you.
Pride and Prejudice. I liked it. I like my impression of it felt like. I don't really know if I have any sort of. I'm not really a musical person, so like my impression was that it leaned much more, obviously, into the Bollywood construct of how they develop the songs and like what they're singing about, and I don't know. I liked it a lot. It was very fun and entertaining. Yeah.
Great.
I'm not having any big hot takes on this.
Yeah, no hot takes.
Yeah.
I think it's clear from last week's episode that we all very much enjoyed it, so it was fun
Yeah.
for us.
It's
too.
also too hot for hot takes.
It is too hot for hot takes.
I need some cold takes.
I need a cool take.
Well, let's do a really cool take.
Microphone.
That's not
That's
a cool
not cool.
take. That's
No,
a
it's
hot
not
jam.
cool.
That's a
I don't
stone cold classic. Is what that
It's
is.
just not cool. Let's just call it what it is.
Well, the other thing we wanted to talk about was the costumes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have. It was all to me wrapped up in the color and the use of the extras and the big dance numbers and everything, and everybody matching or being part of a larger group and matching together the costumes a lot of the time. They were pretty. The only costume that I can say right now that really, really stood out to me is Mary's Cobra Dance costume.
That was
Oh,
really
well,
great.
that's because you're forgetting one.
Which
Let's
one?
talk about Mary's Cobra Dance costume.
It was
because you're forgetting
amazing.
one. It was so good.
And Mary got a moment to be hot. Mary got a moment to be pretty, even while she was being stupid. Mary got hers, is all I'm saying. And I'm always here for Mary getting hers. And the Cobra Dance was top notch.
the hissing.
The hissing, going up into somebody's face and going, like, I just want to do that in life.
You know what I think is great about that costume is the place in which it exists in the story, because that is Mary's doing a Cobra dance in front of strangers in my home costume.
Yeah, like she had to go put that on.
Yo, she changed.
Yes.
She changed clothes.
Yeah.
That's for the performances that
She did it on
accompany
purpose.
those weddings and whatnot.
But imagine
So-
if Mary in AE BBC PP Nemesis, if she had been like, "Oh, it's my turn to play the piano for a day. Excuse me," and she came back in like Elton John platforms and
Yes.
big glasses,
Yes.
right? Woo!
And also, question mark, how many times has Mary done the Cobra Dance? We're going to guess a lot.
Oh yeah,
right?
she's practiced.
How many different strangers in her family's house has she put this performance on for? Has this happened before? My guess is also yes.
Yes.
And how old is the costume? How long has she been rocking that costume? Because it's not like does she get a new one when she grows out of her old one? Because she just needs to have the Cobra costume.
I was assuming that Jane was updating it for her.
Yes.
My assumption is that it's not that it's getting updated. She has multiples ready to go.
Oh no, but they're broke.
Huh?
Yeah, that's right. They're broke.
Well, but when you have like a good costume and you know what you're doing, like you want to make sure you.
Or
have
maybe if her
a couple
sister, if
changes.
Jane is the seamstress, maybe Jane just sewed her like 5 to have on, have in backup.
One for each season.
Yes. Oh my God. Which season did we watch? I mean, really, if you're in India, at least where they were, it feels like it's pretty equatorial or like summertime most of the time, hot all the time. So she's got her summertime snake on. What if it was in Canada or like Siberia? What would the winter cobra look like? Would it be white and gray?
Yeah. Well, it would have to be like white, like python.
Yes.
Right? Like white with maybe fur, and it would be like the animals that the snake ingested.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be a mongoose? Would it become a mongoose? Well, no, mongooses are India, too. I don't know. That was my favorite costume in the whole movie. Truly.
It's because you're forgetting one.
Remind me.
Well, hold on. Is there a costume that you remember?
Well, is it the one she's forgetting? The Speedo?
Yeah. Well, not
No.
Speedo.
The American flag underwear on Mr. Collie.
No.
His
no,
entire
no.
getup.
No.
Go on.
The bikini with the matching visor.
Oh my God!
my God.
Yes! Oh my God. Apologies to everyone listening. I can't believe I forgot the actual best costume in the movie, which was the Burberry bikini with the matching visor.
That costume was so good.
Worn by Caroline Bingley, and her
Yes.
name was Collie, correct?
Her name was
Kieran.
Kieran. That's
Yes.
right. Kieran, played by
Indira Varma.
Indira Varma, that who I fucking love,
Yes.
and rocked that bikini to the moon and
Yes.
back.
High drag. It's high drag.
But it was drag.
Yes, absolutely. It was so good that it made me want to add a little end piece to our inevitable Pride and Prejudice pick the best one from every adaptation thing, where we pick the best costumes in all of the things.
That's a really good costume
I'm
for
not
Caroline
sure
Bingley.
that I think there's a better one. I feel like it is the best Caroline Bingley costume,
Yes.
but also the best translation of character into what they're wearing that
Yes.
we've seen so far, maybe. Because it is A, hilarious, B, fabulous, C, hilariously new money.
Yes,
it's
trashy.
so, like,
It's so trashy, but so good.
but it can't be trashy in the sense that we think of things as being like, it's not like she got it at a Hot Topic.
No.
That ensemble probably cost her like $3,000
Yeah,
or something absurd. That's an
expensive.
exaggeration, but it was expensive, right? It's like a $600 bikini probably, and then the hat, who knows how fucking much. Expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just clothes that you wear to not swim in
yeah. Yeah.
because she wasn't swimming.
No.
Darcy, will you put some suntan lotion on my back? Right? Just like such a perfect encapsulation of that character and what her whole deal is.
Yes.
That it's certainly hard for me to imagine a better Caroline Bingley costume.
I
And
don't-
the 96 PP Caroline Bingley costumes are great because they're also like just slightly too much frou-frou, lots of bright colors, ostentatiously expensive looking, but not really tasteful.
The A&E BBC PP Nemesis Caroline Bingley did have a couple of those, but they tended to be slightly muted. Like she did have like the big orange feather once, so
Yes.
there was an accent of something over the top, crazy. Look at me, I have money to spend on this feather, which is Caroline Bingley in a little nugget. But it was a little bit more subdued, I think, because obviously that particular adaptation was really hewing to the time and the period, and maybe she just liked gray and black because she wore a lot of black. But this one, you're right. There is no better Caroline Bingley costume than the Burberry bikini and matching visor. There is none better. It is, you're right. It's the best costume in the entire movie.
I mean, I think I'm not being facetious.
No,
I think
me
it's
neither.
exceptional. Like, it's
Yes.
an incredible piece of costuming.
Because, just like you said, it tells a story. We understand more about her the moment we see it. And really good costuming works on that kind of liminal level where you don't even understand that you've just learned something
Yeah.
about a character. And that costume is that to a T.
Well, and I think that's true. You brought up the American flag underwear. Like, I think, like, we learn a lot about Mr. Colley from his costuming, too. The necklaces and, the hairdo. He looked a little bit like he was trying to look like a member of NSYNC.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everything was just slightly too big for him, which is what American men do. They tend to buy clothes that are too large for them, and I don't know if it's like a I need to look bigger thing or I want to be comfortable thing, but it always looks just kind of baggy and like you're wearing your dad's coat.
Yeah.
That was definitely the style of the time, too.
Yeah.
Like,
And,
Yes.
oh, in the 90s. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, early aughts. Right?
Early aughts.
Yeah.
90s and aughts. 90s, Color Me Bad was in the 90s, so that was the beginning of the, in my mind, of the
But I'm
big
very
boxy
specifically
suits.
thinking of, like, Backstreet's Bet. All right! Like, it's very that.
Yeah.
So those were good, and I also really loved, again, because it's apparently the best scene in the movie, their slumber party song
jammies.
jammies.
Those jammies were great.
First of all, they looked incredibly comfortable.
Yes.
Like,
And I love that they
gauzy.
were all the same but different. Each sister had her own style, but the costumes were very clearly of a piece together.
It was a very Disney moment as well.
Yeah.
Like the blues in that for the lighting that they used.
Like the saturated blue light in the background.
God,
It was
that
cool.
was so good. Like and then when they went into their dream sequences of like what it's like to live with that guy, like that weird set they used and like how they popped into more oranges and reds. I liked it.
Yeah.
Everything about that was great.
There's a lot, speaking of color that we were briefly mentioning earlier, I think that there's a lot of the color theory running through the movie. And is that a thing in Bollywood just in general, where if you have a certain color and you feel a certain way about things, that's a shorthand. You know, like the blues are very calming. Like this is where the sisters feel safe and saying what they really feel because they're all around each other. And so it's this very safe feeling, like mellow blue. And then when we're out in a big crowd or something big happens, there's a lot of oranges and bright pinks and like warming colors that stimulate you or wake you up or whatever.
Well, I
It's
saw this.
interesting.
This is a little bit more of a modern take on films that are shot in India or other places that are considered developing world stuff. But a lot of Western films these days use that use color theory to imply some sort of poverty or danger. And this was not. This is a film made by an Indian filmmaker who's not gonna. Who wasn't playing to that type of audience, right? Like, and I think she used the color in a way that like was more honest to her culture, and like represented the country well, right? And like, and you know, it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
well, and her filmmaking is so often about the blending of cultures, right? Like she, again, I fell down a Wikipedia wormhole, but if my memory is correct, she was born in Kenya, educated in the UK and the United States, is from an Indian family, and all of the films of hers I've seen, at least, are all about slamming together these different cultures. Like the one I was telling you about last week, Blinded by the Light, which again, I cannot recommend enough. I enjoyed it so much, is about this Indian kid, high schooler, living in a economically distressed area in England. There are a lot of movies that are like, it's the 80s.
And I live in the council towers or whatever.
Totally, or like my dad works in the mining industry, and obviously that's which is Billy Elliot. But in this case, he falls in love with Bruce Springsteen, so it's Indian culture, British culture, American culture, all jammed together. Like Beckham, obviously, also is that. And I think that that's this too, right? We're taking what we know about Hollywood movie musicals and Bollywood and sort of and Austen, and just jamming them all together. We spend a lot of time in the UK. Obviously, the story is very specific to one. And by that I mean the source material is so frequently associated with the Regency, and Jane Austen is a template for so many things, and I just find that really fascinating. So yes, I think that it's interesting to look at the way that she's using color through both a Western lens and a more global lens. I just find it super fascinating.
And like I was thinking too, this is beyond costumes and more about like the general design of like the way the color wasn't different between India versus Los Angeles, right? Or London. But the way, but like you just felt the American version of it did still feel much more bland, right? Like even that wedding that they went to, right? Was that the wedding? Yeah,
The wedding is like a week. It starts
In the
When
yeah.
Charlotte
Yeah.
gets married and it's actually not a disaster.
yeah.
To Kali.
Which
Yeah.
has been growing on me more and
Yeah.
more. That I love.
Justice
and
for Charlotte. She gets a happy ending in this one. Right.
Just
Yes.
once. I don't need it to be a happy ending all the time.
No.
But just this once, it's nice to me that Charlotte isn't completely miserable.
Exactly.
And then also that we see, again, because apparently it's the best scene in the movie, all of the sisters having fun together. Because
Yeah.
I actually cannot think of a scene in any of the adaptations we watched where all of the sisters are having fun together. It's always like
Kitty and
Lydia,
off to one
Jane and
side,
Lizzie.
and Mary by herself at the pianoforte with the Bible. God damn it, Mary.
being very pleased with herself.
Yes. Oh, Mary. Just go do the cover dance. Loosen it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you. I got very excited.
But
about
that's like just like it's obviously Americans are afraid of color, so like that was like just natural for the costuming. But like I liked that. It felt good, and it felt like
It's interesting that you say this because when talking about color theory in film and television, like American film and television, let me be specific. I don't remember color being such a important thing until maybe the last like couple of decades, like where it was very obvious that color was being used. So my example will always be Breaking Bad. The way that color was used in Breaking Bad was very specific and on purpose per character, right? So you immediately, like what I was talking about, working on a subliminal level, you understand things about a character just based on the color around them or how they dress and what colors they wear and what colors they prefer and choose. And I don't feel like that was such a huge thing in American cinema and television until sort of recently.
I remember Matrix was, at least from my knowledge, one of the first films where they started really talking about the hues that they were using for color.
Like that green.
Yeah, the greenish, like
Yeah.
represent, like that was my first memory because I was also quite.
And
young.
I'm sure obviously
Yeah.
it exists because as long as there's been film in color,
Yeah.
people have played with it and directors have played with it. But it really feels like a newer or more modern use in America, in American television and film, to specifically use color in the way that it is used in this movie.
Well, certainly filmmaking on television has changed a lot.
Yeah.
I think that probably in regards to film, it's more likely that it's our understanding of it that's shifted.
Yes. And do you think it's like an internet thing?
Well, I think
An eyeball thing? Like
maybe.
visual processing more?
part of it's, I think visual processing technology is also a part of this too.
Yeah.
Because previously it was about the color of film you'd buy and like the way that stock was then, like cinematography was like was very rightly thought of as like kind of a magician's thing. There's a really interesting, if you are into this thing, I'm not, a documentary that's hosted by Keanu Reeves where he goes really into cinematography. He is so excited to talk to all these cinematographers. I got through 15 minutes and I was like, too much for me. I can't do this.
Keanu, you're a nerd. I love you.
Like it's a good film if that's what you're interested in, but like I couldn't do it. But it was like what they talk about at the very beginning of this documentary was that cinematography was such a big deal because you couldn't know what you were seeing.
Because it would look different in the final.
Yeah, and like there's processing, like the film, you can't like just see what comes through the camera immediately. There's so many steps, and now we've gotten to a point where digital filmmaking is such an easy thing, and The Matrix was the beginning of that with all the technology they were using. So I wonder if that's a part of it too, where it's easier now to choose.
The technology itself has made it easier to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But I mean, we didn't start thinking about, and this is just, some of it's a failure of imagination. We didn't start thinking about the filmmaking on television until relatively recently in the history of television. And obviously,
Yeah.
and there are exceptions. There have been really cool, wild things on TV for as long as TV's existed. There are some really striking cinematic moments in The Twilight Zone, as an
Yes.
example. But something like Breaking Bad or The Sopranos or Killing Eve,
Mad Men.
Yeah, Mad Men.
Mad Men has a very
really visually
strong
dense, yeah.
color thing.
And fascinating costuming, storytelling through costuming with
Yeah.
Mad Men too is huge.
I gotta get back on that train.
Yeah, you
I just
really
gotta
do.
start again.
I just started the first episode of that and like never kept going.
It's because you know, and specifically me as a woman, I know that it's just gonna fill me with rage so many times, and I'm already up to the brim with
Yeah.
rage, and so sometimes I'm just like, I can't watch Joan get shat on again. I can't watch Penny, what's her name? Peggy get shat on again.
My name is Peggy Olson, and I'd like to smoke some marijuana. Sorry, did you get that
Yes.
far? Is that a spoiler?
No, we saw that one.
Okay,
We saw that one. But I just know that it's going to be beautiful and heartbreaking, and I'm going to love it, but it's going to make me so mad.
Yeah, but this
It is, but it's worth
Yes.
it.
And so this particular film, back to Bride and Prejudice.
We did really good on the color thing, though. We're
We
still
did,
talking
yeah.
about the same thing.
Because
Nature is healing.
because then I also think about.
Oh, no!
I also think about the budget they probably had for that film.
$7 million.
$7 million to shoot that film for $7 million with location changes, with all of those people, like their ability to use color.
For those of you who aren't a dork about things like film budget, $7 million
Is
is
nothing.
It's a fucking drop in the bucket.
Yes, it's tiny.
Yes.
And to have something with such a scope, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge production numbers and so many costumes and everything. It's really cool.
And shooting in LA, like that took half their budget.
Oh,
almost,
I'm sure.
Like shooting on Santa Monica Beach, like holy crap.
Yeah.
So what they were able to accomplish with that, really good.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
good. Given the technology at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
And it would be, this is a question for our guest tonight because when I was in India, it was the Festival of Color, Holi, Holi, and that's where people run around with the colored chalk and throw it at people, and it's at the end of the day you've got chalk all over you, and the dogs are running around with chalk all over them, and it's just like a festival of happiness and color and light.
It's where Color Runs appropriated that from.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
God, we're the fucking worst.
Yeah.
American stuff. But when we were there and it was just happening and it was just everybody expected it and everybody was excited about it and it was fun, it kind of makes me think of viewing this film with that lens of how important color is in that culture that maybe is not the same for us.
Our puritanical
Yes,
background.
fucking Goody Proctor was talking with the devil wearing hot pink. She's got to go. Like, no, wear gray and black, bitch.
Fucking pilgrims.
Or wear this scarlet letter. That's all you get, just one accent.
The first statement accessory.
The first statement accessory was a scarlet letter in America. A for America, not adulteress.
Fuck yeah.
But it works for both. Really.
Oh, how painful.
Yeah.
So I would be very interested to hear Manish go on about the color because I would like to learn more because it just felt so natural and normal. Everybody was excited about it. Nobody was mad about getting shit all over themselves. They just like, yes, color, and it was fun. So that's a question that I have for our esteemed guest this evening. Talk to me about that.
I'm super excited about that conversation.
Me too.
I'm we should
excited.
have been just having people who are smarter than us come on and talk to us about things the whole time.
Yeah, but we figured it out, and we're still going. We're still learning. That's how we get smarter.
That's
is
true.
that we allow ourselves room for growth.
Yes.
Thwart.
And
Ooh!
Look at that.
Speaking of room of growth.
room for growth. We're learning and changing. Well, great. I mean, I feel like this is now that we're all excited for the next episode, I feel like this is a decent spot to
Yeah.
end it on. And plus I've got some housekeeping things.
Yes.
Some of it we're gonna, as is like new custom, gonna record a little thing with our lovely list of patrons and all of that stuff and tack it on the end. However, I do want to make sure that we're on the same page so that all of you through the microphone, are on the same page.
Wake up, bitch.
If your eyes just glossed over, you're back.
I'm talking to you, Jenna. And you, Danny. And you, Sandra Day O'Connor.
Oh, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Sorry, I'm not sure where that came from. And just, I'm still having a really hard time seeing your entire faces. It's really.
I know there's 3D aspects.
Oh,
It's
it's
like you
really-
can see the side of my face because I'm looking at somebody else, and then
about
you can
this?
see the side of my face.
Well, no, because now it's just the top. Now it's the top of your face over a wet vagina.
I can say I've never been there.
Or. You know, Owen's gonna just hit different now
Oh, yeah.
every time.
And Katya just sits there and does this like the whole time, like it's her fidget toy. Mm-hmm. Just like opening and closing and occasionally to emphasize something. I love
So, the first bit of business is we, for Patreon folks, and if you're not, stick around anyway, because you still might want to read this book, we're doing a Regency Book Club, which is books set during, about, written during, inspired by, or adaptations of stories from the Regency. So basically whatever the fuck we want. Friend of the show, Amelia Bazell, chose our first book with the input of some friends who came to the Crowdcast where we discussed it. And it is Mad and Bad, Real Heroines of the Regency by B. Koch, which I'm super excited about.
I was trying to remember that the other night. I forgot. I was like, I know Mad is in there. Mad and Bad.
Mad and Bad, Real Heroines of the Regency.
That's cool. That sounds like a great book.
Oh, I started it this weekend. It's amazing. Y'all are obviously welcome to read with us, but it is my geeky Patreon project, so you do not have to. However, you, Jen.
Jenna, open the book.
Which Jenna? I don't know. Yes, I do.
We know who
Anyway, point
Love
is,
you, mean
you
it.
can
Shout
join
out
us.
to Dozer.
That's all Patreon backers are welcome to join us for those conversations. We will be able to chat in the comments, but also we're going to do a crowdcast, maybe two. So feel free to join us for that. Also, as a reminder, we are nearing the end of our first volume, at least, of Imbibe and Prejudice. So if there are adaptations that we are not covering that you think, oh, we absolutely have to do that before we move on, please speak now.
Specifically Pride and Prejudice.
yes.
At this moment.
Yes, Pride and Prejudice. We are right now planning on doing Pride and Prejudice new musical, and then the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which is going to take some time, and then the Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
The Joe Wright. It's not the Keira Knightley,
I
but
know
it's the
Joe
Keira
Wright, but
Knightley.
it's Keira
That's the
Knightley.
Keira.
Pride and Prejudice is always about Lizzie. So whoever is Lizzie.
Yes. Well, although I will say, we say Nemesis is the Colin Firth.
Yeah, I would say that, which is a fucking terrible shame to Jennifer Ely because she's so good.
She's extremely good. She is.
But I mean,
But she didn't climb out of a pond.
She did not. She did not do that.
She could have, but she didn't.
Hot fuckboy entrance.
Yeah. Anyway, if there are things that are not on that list that you think, oh, you've really got to do this one in phase one, speak now or forever hold your peace. If not, afterwards, we are moving on to Emma. I can't think of a good drunk name for it, though.
I feel like this is one of those where we have to say it as if we were drunk.
Emma.
Emma!
Like I'm yelling at you across the bar.
Emma!
All right, so we just say it like drunk J. Crew.
Yeah.
Emma. We'll get there. We're workshopping.
I'm really excited
We'll
to
figure
talk
that
about
one
Emma. So that's what the next month or so is. If you want to start rereading Emma, go for it. If you want to read Mad and Bad, Real Heroines of the Regency, which you get at bookshop.org or all kinds of really amazing bookstores, support your local bookstores, go to a library. Don't buy it from Jeff Bezos if you can possibly avoid it.
I know. I love my Kindle though. That guy, he really got me.
You can jailbreak those.
You can. Okay, let's take this off road.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Don't worry about it.
Just turn off the recording.
Bye.
And now that I am back in front of a functioning computer, I want to say all of our end stuff. You can find us on Twitter at PodlanderCast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/PodlanderCast. You can find us on Instagram at PodlanderCast. And you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/PodlanderDrunkcast, where you can get early access to episodes, bonus episodes, Janine's Corner, Crowdcast, and of course support the show, which means so much to us and makes it possible. We want to thank all of our patrons, past and present and future, but especially the following lovely folks. Here we go. Brie Lee, Mallory Smith, Catspaw156, Maddie Perkins, Snazinach, Julia Gulia, Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Madison Johnson, Emily Day, Betsy English, Caitlin Reddick, Ashley Tigeson, Kristen, Freckled, Fury, Laura Colm, Amelia Bazell, Liz, and Tinkerbell, Stella Welch, Chrissy Shively, Claire Feeney, Kayla Ray, and Rochelle Fever. Heather Robbins, Jerry Hurdle, Brittany Holbert, Emily Carlson, Amy Gustafson, Rachel Townsend, Steph Peterson, Kelly Mazzella, Chantel Salters, Mary the Falling Statue, Tara Lucchino, Viv Pickles, aka Laura, Mary of the Grapefruit, Jenna Polkowski, Ann Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Katie Kirshner, Kara Marlowe, Trish McCrary, Dr. J, Jen Linder, Drunklin, Kelly Bodden, Amanda Newton, and Kiki the Wise. We will be back next week with our third and final episode on the marvelous Bride and Prejudice. And yeah, I don't know. Stay sexy. Bye.